That's that. Okay, very good. Okay, so hello. Give me a minute, guys. I'm trying to set up here. Welcome everyone um on TikTok. Tap the screen, join the team. So we have a very interesting episode today that I want everyone to check out. It's pretty bizarre. All right. I just bumped into this in my feed and I just could not believe what I was reading. Right? This is Tucker Carlson is basically begging us to basically drop Israel as an ally and accept Qatar as our new quote unquote chief ally. It is insane. We have never seen this kind of lobbying for another country. Our friend Tucker Carlson is long lost and he is now Palestine first. He is no longer America first, right? So let's just read what he has to say here. And the next thing that I have to bring here is the crazy part, guys. Tucker Carlson literally is using the Australian Hanukkah tea attack against Israel. We'll get to that right after we get into his recent crazy shit. He just comes out of nowhere lobbying for Qatar. But let's just read it, guys. I'm going to read it. So he says, compare Israel to, say, Qatar, and you decide for yourself what you think might be a more useful ally for United States to have, maybe even a chief ally. Oh my God. This guy straight up Qatarlson and a half. He's not just... You look at him, he's lobbying for Qatar and says, you should go to Qatar. Wander around for a day or two. Just make sure that if you're GAY, you learn their laws or else you could get arrested. He forgot to mention that. He forgot to warn you. Also, you can fly in the world's greatest airlines. Yeah, Qatar Airways, right? Dude. By the way, as you can get there, which has Starlink the entire way, there's a lot of good stuff about Qatar, guys. Like there is nothing that there is no like terrorist shit that you should know about. It says good food, nice people, but just go there. Don't take our word for it. If you're being told that, Qatar is a hellscape with slave markets and, women in burqas or whatever, spend the weekend, see for yourself, right? Yeah. So let's just go through this whole letter, what he was saying one by one, and let's see if we could compare Qatar to Israel. All right. I'm just going through what he was saying. He was saying go visit Qatar and decide which is a better ally. Right? So straight up, allies are judged by actions and not tourist experiences. Who gives a shit if they have good shawarma or whatnot? What does that have to do with being an American ally? What does that have to do with anything? Right? A weekend visit doesn't tell you nothing about it. It doesn't tell you anything about military, whatever that means, intelligence sharing, the counter-terror cooperation, the democratic alignment, reliability in wartime. By that logic, Dubai is greater than NATO, which is obviously absurd, right? The reality is the U.S. does not choose allies based on food, airlines, or hospitality. So by Tucker Carlson tell us just go there and visit, check it out for yourself, does not determine that America should be allies with them. It's not how we decide who is our allies. Also, in reality, strategic alliances are built on values, reliability, and battlefield alignment. The second point, which he made, right, it's the soft power and the strategic loyalty. Qatar excels at soft power optics, world-class airline, luxury infrastructure, controlled media, but none of that equals the line's reliability. But one thing that he's not telling us what Qatar does, right, with their media. So number one thing, reality with Qatar is that they host Hamas leadership. Okay, how in the fuck do you expect us to consider Qatar as our greatest ally, or in by his words, the chief ally, if Qatar literally hosts our enemies? Okay, they host Hamas, they host the Taliban, right? It gives platforms to the Muslim Brotherhood. They are the Muslim Brotherhood's main sponsorship, right? And Israel, comparable, shares real-time battlefield intelligence, fights the same terrorist enemies as us. Just 3 weeks ago in Lebanon, Israel took out a team member that was wanted by America. There was a 5 million hit on his head, and Israel just took them out, right? Israel and America fights the same terrorists, but Qatar is the terrorist that America is fighting, right? America has bloodshed, has American bloodshed alongside Israeli forces historically? No. A luxury hotel doesn't neutralize ideological alignment. Sure, Qatar is nice, but telling us to go there to visit them, to check out, their food, and that there is no garbage, does not mean that they should be America's biggest ally. Hold up, guys. Let's just get straight to it. I'm gonna come back to these points, but there's something really important that I want to drive home here today, and this is the most crazy part about our dude, Mr. Tucker Carlson. Okay, not only is he actively lobbying for Qatar. Let me just see, where's my order. Okay, I have 20 minutes in this live. Okay, until I'm gonna go eat. So basically, this is Tucker Carlson's website, and it's basically on top. It has the latest news, and I want you guys to check out. He wants me to subscribe to read the whole thing, but we don't have to read the whole thing. Guys, I'm streaming on YouTube. I'm not bringing up anybody right now. I'm doing an episode. I'm multi-streaming on YouTube for content. But anyway, so this is on tuckercarlson.com. On the top, it's talking about the Australian Hanukkah attack. So let's just go through the wording and look at this shit. This is crazy. So 15 dead after Australian Hanukkah terrorist attack. A pair of Australian terrorists. You get it, guys? Australian terrorists. Were they Australian? Or were they Muslims? No. It says that a pair of Australian T's attacked a Hanukkah celebration at their country's famous Bondi beach on Sunday, shooting dozens of attendees and unaliving at least 15. Right? Okay, that's all right, but let's just continue to read how this dude uses this attack against Israel. Harry, keep on yapping. The culprits executed their weapon with long guns from a nearby footbridge, firing at the event attendees until a local shop owner heroically intervened. We're going to see if what we hear regarding the hero, if he's going to mention the religion. And we know here they don't mention Muslims or Islamic attack. Nope. But here we'll check after. The New South Wales police designated the crime act of terror designated to target Sydney's Jewish community. At least 11 of the victims were Jewish. The elder suspect died at the scene. The younger is in critical condition. Unhinged identitarians like Randy Fine routinely levy mindless anti-Semitic allegations against those who refuse to worship Israel. This is not one of those cases. Shooting up a Hanukkah celebration is definitely an example of Jew hate. It was an undeniable act of evil. Wow. Can you guys hear this? Our dude here, the only reason why he's talking about the Bondi Beach attack is to tell the people that, oh, they consider me a anti-Semite when all I do is just talk about Israel and I talk about the Jews, like what kind of tribal people they are, like as if, what does tribe have to do with Israel? What does eating hummus have to do with Israel? Has to do with, we remember when he said the hummus eating people? So the only reason why he's bringing this up is to say, oh, these people, you see, they call me an anti-Semite. I'm not a real anti-Semite. I just talk about Israel. And this guy was the real hateful person that came and unalived these people. And not only that, he didn't even acknowledge that it was a Islamist tea attack. He literally called this a Australian terrorist attack. Australians. So it was native Australians, according to Tucker Carlson, that attacked the Jews at Bondi Beach. See, once again, right? He cannot say the word Islamist because you know why? Let's go back to Qatar. See him, Qatar. He's literally yesterday. He's literally actually. This is not really the one that I wanted to go through. There's one more. I thought I would have time, but I gotta eat soon. Yeah, actually, that was the one that we could go back to another one. He keeps on comparing Israel. He's literally telling us, compare Israel to Qatar and decide for yourself who is a greater ally and maybe even chief ally of America. He's saying Qatar should be chief ally of America. Literally, this dude just came from Qatar 2 days ago, and now he is coercing American people to basically accept Qatar as a chief ally of America versus Israel. But the problem is, does a match? Why are we greatest allies with Israel and not Qatar? Why? That's the main question. So, right? So I'm just have a few points that I marked here on ChatGPT to go through. So he said that, oh, they are saying that Qatar is a hellscape. Go there, travel and see for yourself. Straight up strawman argument. No serious U.S. policy experts claim that Qatar is a wasteland. We never said that Qatar is a bad ally because it's a wasteland, or because number 2, everyone wears burqas, or number 3, the tourists are safe, which tourists are unsafe, by the way. Okay, you have to learn the laws when you go there. What the fuck is this dude talking about? So the real criticism is the Qatar's government behavior contradicts U.S. security interests, regardless of how pleasant daily life appears. A country can be clean, safe, wealthy, and still fund or enable terrorist movements. These things are not mutually exclusive. One thing has nothing to do with the other. There's big reasons why we're not allies, or we're not like so-called best friends. So Israel versus Qatar alliance, right? So let's check it out. Israel is liberal democracy, independent. So actually, let's compare one by one. Liberal democracy, Israel. Qatar, absolute monarchy. Okay. Israel, dependent judiciary. Qatar, no national elections. Free press. What they have is a state media. There is no free press. Actually, it's criminalized of dissent. There is no free press. If you say anything, if you're a journalist and you go to Qatar and you say something against Qatar, you could tell yourself goodbye. Literally. And he's telling people to go there. Right? So I'm just going to go through LGBTQ rights, women in parliament. This is all Israel. Joint weapons development with the U.S. intelligence that has stopped attacks on Americans, fights Iran, IS, Al-Qaeda, blah, blah, blah. So Qatar, let's go through it. Absolute monarchy, no state elections, criminalized of dissent. If you say anything against Qatar, your ass is going to jail, and hopefully they will not unalive you. And then also state-aligned religious institutions, funds or shelters Islamist groups the U.S. fights. Also uses mediation while hosting terrorist leadership. So the key difference is Israel bleeds fighting America's enemies, while Qatar hedges between America and America's enemies. Right? And point number 5 that debunks his like Tucker Carlson's point is, says do your own research. Right? He says don't trust clips, don't trust narratives, go see for yourself. But they ignored the U.S. Treasury terror finance reports. Right? The U.S. Treasury have reports that tell us that how much Qatar has financed what's named terror. They're ignoring the intelligence community assessment, which once again, the shit that Qatar does. Ignoring institutions when they conflict with my preferred conclusion. So once again, you see what I'm saying? He keeps on trying to make it look like it's has something to do with religion. That's why we're not allies. Happy Hanukkah, Gyro. So that's why our interests do not align. But he's just gaslighting us, right? So it's a deflection tactic. The truth is, Qatar is criticized for state behavior, not religion or ethnicity, right? Israel is defended for shared values and battlefield alignment, not tribal loyalty. You can respect Arabs, respect Muslim, appreciate Qatar's culture, and still acknowledge Qatar's strategic duplicity, right? So why Israel remains the U.S. irreplaceable ally, right? So we're going to compare. Israel is the only democracy in the Middle East that consistently aligns with U.S. security goals. A. B. Share sensitive intelligence without hedging, right? Like they don't try to get something out of it for anyway. Does not fund America's enemies behind closed doors. A net security exporter, not a client state. So what that means is that a net security exporter is that we have allyship, that we are not a client state, is not a transactional. So when it comes to Qatar, it is a transactional host of U.S. assets, simultaneously hedging with Islamist actors. That is not an alliance. So the bottom line is, the tourism optics are irrelevant. Luxury does not equal to loyalty. Hospitality does not equal to shared values. The U.S. doesn't need a nicer airline. It needs allies who A. fight the same enemies, B. share democratic norms, C. stand firm under pressure. On that measure, Israel isn't just a better ally than Qatar. It is in a different category altogether. And that's just a fact, guys. And this dude, Tucker Qatarlson, keeps on trying to say, oh, Israel is not our greatest ally. He's trying to make Israel as America's allies, at the same time lobbying for Qatar to be our greatest ally, when in fact, he misses out everything important, the biggest reasons why America does not consider Qatar as his greatest ally. Why doesn't this dude tell us why Al Jazeera spread so much dissent against Americans and American values? Huh? Does our greatest ally have the biggest propaganda state-controlled media, right? Like we would understand if it's some private corporation and they are lefties or whatever, and they hate America for their own reasons. But no, Al Jazeera is a state-owned media. Al Jazeera, they push the propaganda that the country of Qatar wants, right? They openly back the terrorists, right? Like all of the T videos of Hamas and stuff is coming out from Al Jazeera. They straight up support all of these T's, and they shit on America all the time. How come he hasn't mentioned that one time? So let's just say we do, because we do consider Qatar as the greatest chief and ally, or ally in chief, whatever they call it. Is Qatar going to stop spreading propaganda about America now? Or if that's what they want to do, or if Qatar wants to be our greatest ally, why in the fuck did I go to Al Jazeera and see a lot of bullshit about America? Why aren't you mentioning that? Why aren't you mentioning the fact that Qatar, they harbored the engineer of 9/11, the guy that did the 9/11 attacks. He was harbored inside of Qatar, and he planned the attack on America from Qatar, right? And then after 9/11, when America found out, here, this is actually another thing I want to go in, guys. If you're on YouTube, please do me a favor, subscribe to the channel. This is a brand new channel. So, right, speaking of 9/11, this is what I want you guys to see. This is why it's important. Let's go to tuckercarlson.com and let's go into One, he has a special category of 9/11, guys. That's right. This is since 2 months ago. Ever since he's been funded by Qatar, he started making all of this propaganda about how America did 9/11, right? And I'm sure he did this, and he's including Israel also. This is straight up. Tucker Carlson is spreading Al Jazeera propaganda as an American conservative. So, but that's not my point. Just give me a second. My whole point is that he has his whole fucking section on 9/11, right? But he forgets to mention.
Did you know that before the current generation?
So did you know? So you see, the funny part is that he forgot to mention that Qatar, the person that engineered the 9/11 attack, fucking was in Qatar the whole time, right? Since 1994 till 9/11. The engineer of 9/11 was in Qatar while they planned the 9/11 attack. And then after 9/11, when America found out that the engineer of the 9/11 was in Qatar, they were going to come after him. You know what Qatar did? Qatar told him to run away. Qatar literally engineered the 9/11 attack, and he doesn't mention it. He's trying to consider Qatar our greatest ally. It is insane. Let's go back. Let's get into, everything about Israel. Qatar, Israel. Qatar, Israel. This dude is a lobby for Qatar. So let's go see his latest thing. Here, look, just guys, just check this out, okay? Look. So here are some of the differences between Qatar and Israel. This is not an attack on Israel, for sure. And it's not promoting Qatar. Oh, no, it's not promoting Qatar. No. It's just trying our best to promote our country. We could use allies right now. Oh, we could use allies right now, but you're trying to demonize one of America's greatest allies. I thought we needed allies. Why are you trying to push away America's greatest ally and trying to replace it with one of America's greatest enemies? So the first is resources. And Israel has basically no resources at all. So if we're talking about resources, do you know how much of our fucking resources come from Iran? Come from Qatar? Absolutely fucking zero. Okay, our oil. America spent $34 million in oil annually buying from Qatar, which is nothing. Okay, and that's not because of that. It's because Qatar, which is another thing, America's trying to sanction Iran while Qatar is sharing the same oil fields as Iran, and they are selling Iranian oil without any restrictions. We all know America put sanctions on Iran, but Qatar is selling Iranian oil, right, without any sanctions and paying Iran money. Everyone knows Qatar works with Iran, right? And on top of it, America doesn't buy resources from Qatar for many different reasons. We have other allies like Turkey and, other places that we get our majority sources of oil. We don't need Qatar for that. Qatar doesn't have nothing that we need. What the fuck do they have? Camels? All they have is Qatar is just an asset for America to use them because Qatar is close with these terrorists. So America uses them as a negotiator tool. That's all they are. And on top of it, the fact that America has a base in Qatar, that does not represent allyship. That is straight up a transaction. America pays $500 million a year to sustain that base in Qatar. Like Qatar doesn't pay for that. And plus, this is a transaction. We all know if it wasn't for America, Qatar would be fucked. Qatar needs defense, and America needs a place to put their to put their base in. It is a transaction, right? Qatar is not doing it because they love America and that, you know what I'm saying? They're doing it because it's a transaction. This is a transactional partnership. It is not a policy partnership. It is not security partnership. It is just transactional. That's all it is. Okay, no resources. Its gasoline comes from Azerbaijan. Okay, yeah, exactly. We all know that. It needs to import basically everything that it uses. They got a thriving tech sector, but for natural resources, they're very, very limited, and that would include water. So the number one thing we all know is that America needs nothing from Qatar, as we have explained. Actually, let's go check out where our oil comes from. Okay. Let's go. Let's check it out. Let's see on what list is Qatar on. Okay. Let's see how important Qatar is to us for natural resources. Okay. Number one, we get from Canada. Number two, Mexico. Number three, Saudi Arabia, which is their competition and their enemy, from Venezuela, from Brazil, from Colombia, from Iraq, from Guyana, from Nigeria, from Ecuador. Where do we see Qatar here on the list? They don't even fucking make the list. Okay, we don't need them for their oil. Okay, like straight up, having Qatari oil is just like having Irani oil. America could have Irani oil if they want to. They don't want to. America is sanctioning Iran for a reason. Let me see, what time is it? I placed order for some food. Let me see, where's my dude at? Okay. Let me see what's up with the fellas on YouTube. Anyway, I'm gonna come back. I just did a little setup. I'm gonna eat soon in a minute, and then I'm gonna come back and we're gonna go through to, Tucker Carlson's videos. I have told people that I would start doing series on watching Tucker Carlson, and I'm actually I just came up with a name. I'm coming out. I have a new website that is going to be blueprint for debating, and it's going to be a fact check company, and basically I'm gonna create some stuff we could use to debate these people. You know, I'm going to debunk all of the lies. I'm going to make a category for Tucker Carlson. I'm going to fact check Tucker Carlson. He is going around and he's making absurd lies about Israel, and he definitely needs to be fact checked, right? Um, but nonetheless, thank you guys. I'm gonna come back in about 30-40 minutes. We'll do another segment on Tucker Carlson.